Comic books are an amazing medium. They get to build worlds with characters that for the longest time couldn't be done on the big screen. And even though we do have things like the MCU and the DCEU, comic books still provide an opportunity to tell stories that you can't see or get anywhere else. Every now and then, a bunch of characters will get together for a big crossover event, usually with ramifications that crosses the entire universe that comic book series takes place in. I'm Kyle Malone, and this is LRM Ranks It. Crossover events are a big deal in comic books. You get to see characters interact that you had never seen interact before, or at least it used to be that way. These days, Marvel and DC have their characters crossing over all the time, and there's multiple events a year. But back in the 80s, there used to only be one event every few years. It was really cool to see characters meeting each other for the first time. Even though they existed in the same universe, they never had any interactions, and it was really cool to start seeing that. Nowadays, we get to see major crossover events done on the big screen, like Justice League or the Avengers movies, specifically Avengers Endgame and Infinity War. To me, Endgame and Infinity War are more of a crossover event than Avengers or Avengers Age of Ultron. Those were really like looking at Avengers books, even though Avengers books are kind of multiple characters that have individual books coming together, but that's neither here nor there. I'm going to talk about my 3 favorite crossover events. 2 of them are Marvel-wide, and 1 of them is an X-Men crossover event. Before we get into it, you might notice I'm wearing an LRM t-shirt. It's actually the shirt I'll be wearing at GalaxyCon this year, actually this week in Richmond, Virginia. So if you're going to be at GalaxyCon in Richmond, keep an eye out for me. I'll be wearing this shirt. Come by and say hi. So my number 3 is going to be Infinity Gauntlet. This is the event that inspired the MCU's Infinity Saga. Both of them deal with Thanos collecting the Infinity Stones. In the comics, they're known as gems. Both of them deal with Thanos wiping out a bunch of people using the Infinity Gauntlet, and both of them have Thanos losing in the end. However, Thanos' motivations are a lot different in the comics versus the movies. In the comics, he's trying to impress Lady Death, and in the movies, he's got an altruistic, hey, I want to save the universe by saving them from themselves. Comics do go a little bit different. Nebula actually gets the gauntlet when they initially defeat Thanos, and then Thanos comes back to help them defeat Nebula. Adam Warlock is a major character in this movie. He's not been in the MCU yet. We've seen his cocoon twice, once with the Collector, and then they're like, oh, that's not the real cocoon, and then there's the cocoon at the end credits of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. But Adam Warlock was a huge part of the Infinity Gauntlet story. Go pick it up in trade paperback, it's a great read. So my number 2 is going to be the original 1984 Secret Wars. This saw, for the first time really ever, a bunch of Marvel characters besides the Avengers meeting up together for the first time. The X-Men were meeting the Avengers, Spider-Man's meeting people he's never met. You had a whole bunch of cosmic characters meeting the Earthbound characters for the first time. The basic story was a cosmic character known as the Beyonder says, hey, I want to see who's the best of the best. And he creates Battle World, which has parts of all over the galaxy and Earth. And then he picks up heroes and villains, puts them in the 2 teams, and says, hey, fight. Winner gets, whatever they desire. One of the interesting things is in issue 1, the good guys, they end up with Magneto, who was a bad guy for the X-Men. So everybody's like, what the hell are you doing on our ship? The bad guys fight amongst themselves. Doctor Doom becomes a major player in this story. It's a really good read, and it's what gave us the black suit Spider-Man, the symbiote. Yep, came from Secret Wars. Although it was just originally just a black suit and retconned later on to be the Venom symbiote. But still, very cool. Awesome read. Again, go pick this up. Trade paperback, digital, physical. I love turning pages. That's how I do it, but check it out. It's a great read. And it's also the only story that the Russo brothers said they would come back to tell for the MCU. Make sure you guys are going by lrmonline.com every single day. Make it your homepage. Make sure you guys are checking out our YouTube channel. We have great celebrity interviews. There's trailer reactions as well as episodes of LRM Ranks It. Make sure you go and check out the podcast channel, Los Fanboys. There you're going to find Breaking Geek the Radio podcast, LR Mornings, every Monday through Friday in the morning with me and Jammer. You're going to find LRM Ranks It, the podcast, the Last Call podcast, so much more. LRM is adding new content to our multimedia all the time, so keep your eyes open. Make sure you guys are sharing, and subscribing to everything we got. We love comments. Leave comments for us. We love interacting with you. So my number one is going to be Messiah Complex. Messiah Complex is an X-Men crossover event. It happened after the results of Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch, uttering the phrase, "No more mutants," where she cut the mutant population to below 200. No more mutants had been born in a long time, when all of a sudden a mutant is born in Alaska. You have all sorts of different factions, from the X-Men to some anti-mutant groups, Mr. Sinister. Everybody's after this baby. You get some of the best Cyclops X-Men has ever given us. He's a character that a lot of people hate, and they make it really easy to hate him, but he's great in this series. I absolutely loved every book it covered through. New X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, and X-Factor. Layla Miller played a big part in it. She's a very interesting character. Madro, the Multiple Man, was a huge factor in it. Forge and Bishop. I mean, this is one hell of a X-Men story to read, and I highly suggest it. And afterwards, it gave birth to a cool run on cable. Like the other two, go pick it up on trade paperback. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Leave some comments below. Tell us what's on your list. What are your favorite Marvel comic book events? Leave us some comments on what you would like to see us rank. And be sure to tell us how we can make the show better. Make sure you check out the podcast on Wednesday to listen to me and Nick Dahl go over his list and my list more in depth. We'll get more into the stories and the specifics of what we like and don't like. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Hey everybody, did you like what you just watched? Do you want to see more? Check out the other great videos available here on the LRM Online YouTube channel. Also, go check out our website, lrmonline.com, to see all the great stories that we publish every day.